Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm CJ Liu. Welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. And today we have the honor and pleasure to have Sharon Salzberg, who is one of the preeminent Buddhist meditation teachers here in the U.S. and also the co-founder of the Insight Meditation Center and a New York Times bestseller. Wow, you have a long list of accolades. Yay, you. Yay, you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sharon. All right, so my first encounter with you was at Wisdom 2.0 in San Francisco, and it was like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the big names were there. And it was like, we're all meditating, and we love it, and we're much better for it. And I was like, oh, come on. Like, is this real? Is this real, or is this just some made-up thing so that we all try to do this at, because it's probably a good thing. And Ariana Huffington was there, and she was talking about how she has mindfulness practices, and she has people turn off their phones at a certain time during the night so that they can't receive work mails, and it was just fascinating. So it blew me away, but I was a little bit skeptical. And I know in writing your book, Will Happiness at Work, that you talk to not only employees at companies who are trying to figure out what to do and kind of beta tested the ideas in these books, but then you also talk to leaders who and industry and otherwise that are implementing some of these mindfulness programs. Mm-hmm. So that's a long intro to really ask you, is mindfulness a fad, or is it really catching on in corporate America and otherwise?
Well, it's certainly different than it was when I came back from India in 1974.
Okay.
I came back, and one of my teachers while in India had told me to teach. So I came back as a teacher, and Joseph had come back about 6 months or so before I had, and we began teaching together. We met Jack here in 74. And, in those days, I'd be at a party or some social situation, and somebody would say, "What do you do?" And I'd say, "I teach meditation." And they would kind of go, "Ooh, that's weird." Or occasionally somebody would say to me, "Oh, did you meet the Beatles over there?" And I'd say, "No, sadly, no, they went when I was in high school. I never met them." And now, of course, it's a different world. And if I'm somewhere and somebody asks what I do and I say I teach meditation, they will more commonly say, "I'm so stressed out. I could use some of that."
Interesting.
And, certainly the word mindfulness feels like it's everywhere. I don't know that it's a fad so much as it's a wave. I don't know that the interest will sustain on any tremendous level. Yeah. But, it's an authentic practice. And if people are open to experimenting with it, I think that's fantastic.
Right. So so mindfulness and meditation, are they one and the same, because you're using the words as if they're interchangeable? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we say, different traditions, different schools will say different things. I would define meditation as a skills training, and it's three major skills. It's concentration, mindfulness, and compassion. And all the techniques and methods and styles are really referring back to those three.
Concentration,
mindfulness and compassion.
So in meditation, are those my three goals? I put it in Western terms. What am I striving for?
Those are your three goals.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a slew of questions. So are people doing this in work or not? So when you're actually going and meeting folks at Wisdom 2.0, are they doing meditations at work? I read someplace that someone was thinking about doing a meditation before they had a group. I was shocked. My jaw was on the ground. Is this true? What are people doing?
Well, it depends on the workplace. I will also add, one of the reasons I was inspired to write this book was because I had a previous book come out called Real Happiness, and which was a 28-day program for developing those three skills of meditation. And people were blogging about it on my website and writing about their experiences on my website. And I saw this huge range of livelihoods represented. It was corporate America, and it was also firefighters and an undercover policewoman and special ed teachers and hospice nurses and writers and artists. And I just saw this immense range of people working at home, outside the home, just, a really huge range. And that was intriguing to me, that so many kinds of people were trying to apply mindfulness and
And so are they
concentration.
doing it at work? Like I can see as a writer, since it's an individual job, that you could be, meditating and being at your desk. A firefighter, I kind of have it's like the fire's coming, and you're like, hold on, I'm meditating. Like I'm trying to figure out, were these people actually, the question was, are they doing
Yeah.
meditation at work?
Sometimes, I mean, again, it's short moments many times.
Yeah,
It might be that you internally ritualize it. It doesn't have to be a whole big show. It depends on the workplace.
right,
Maybe you're the only one doing it,
right.
but maybe at the beginning of a meeting, you take a pause to come back inside yourself, to think about what you really want to see happen. You make a point of listening carefully,
Yeah.
which is a
Interesting.
form of meditation.
Yeah, so even though they're not traditional meditations where you're like Om Shanti Shanti, or like whatever you typically do in meditation, even
Yeah.
listening and being completely present with another
Right.
person is a form of
Right.
meditation. So that people are doing it now. Another question popped up: do you think it's a religious practice? Do people think, well, no, that mindfulness stuff, that's religion, that's Buddhism? You can't be doing that in the office
Yeah. Well,
or in the
I don't
fire
think.
station or beauty
Yeah.
salon or wherever you are?
Yeah. Sometimes people think that. I don't think that. When I went to India, the context in which I learned these practices was a Buddhist tradition, for sure. But I learned my first introduction to meditation was in an intensive 10-day retreat. So I walked into that monastery never having meditated before for one single second in my life.
Wow.
And that night, the teacher said, his opening remarks were, the Buddha did not teach Buddhism. The Buddha taught a way of life. This is in no way about becoming a Buddhist or rejecting anything else or adopting a belief system or becoming anything. It's really about the power of your own mind to understand yourself, to understand life differently, to be a happier person, to be a better person.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, and I love that. That's your response. If someone says that's a religious thing, you shouldn't be practicing Buddhism here in the office, you can say it's a way of life. This is not necessarily a religion. Okay, so I have a couple other questions. So they're back to our comments on multitasking, which of course I'm doing at this point. And the question is it harmful to one's health? And what I saw was interesting, what I recall from your book, is you're saying that it actually increases your pleasure center when you actually are multitasking. It does something to your brain. But I think you said it increases your cortisol levels, which is unhealthy. Is that right?
Well, it increases stress, and I think, I don't know that it's so much a critical health issue as it is a happiness issue.
Right.
And we're definitely going to multitask. That's just the design of the world, but maybe we don't have to do it always.
Right. Right.
And just, again, it's short moments many times. It's select some activity, like maybe just drink that cup of tea.
Yeah.
Or just
fully
be on the
enjoy
conference.
it, right? Because
Yeah.
after that interview that I had with Joseph Mindfulness, look at that, Joseph Goldstein, about his book Mindfulness. I've been really trying to appreciate, like, oh, this cup of hot coffee tastes delicious. I'm savoring this moment with this cup of coffee, and I'm happy. Like you said, for 2-3 seconds, I'm happy. Or I'm eating I'm sorry, I don't know if you're a vegetarian, but I'm eating a piece of meat, and I think, this beef is delicious, and I'm really, really enjoying. And if I weren't mindful at that moment, if I were multitasking and answering the phone while I was eating my dinner,
That's right.
all those beautiful moments of happiness would be
That's
gone.
right. That's right. They'd be completely gone.
Yeah. So I think it's really that you don't have to be mindful or meditate or do any of these things. You can multitask your whole life, but you could actually multitask all of life away.
Yeah, you'd miss your life.
Yeah, you'd miss
Big
your whole
chunks
life.
of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so here's some other questions. Can it relax people who need to meditate or who need to multitask? So can mindfulness actually relax someone as they're multitasking?
Probably, because I think you would take really infinitesimal breaks. And one of the things, as compared to doing Om Shanti or whatever, which is a beautiful meditation, but one of the things in the school of meditation which I trained was something as kind of fundamental as being aware of your breath,
Yes.
paying attention to your in and out breath. So we say if you do that for 5 or 10 minutes in a formal way, this is my morning meditation. Say I'm just going to sit, try to be with the breath. When my attention wanders, that's what I'll bring it back to,
Yeah.
is the breath. Then, one of the beautiful things about the breath, as my early teachers would say, is that it's very portable.
Right.
It's going to go to work with you.
Yes.
So then you're at some contentious meeting and tempers are starting to flare and anxiety's going up and the energy's getting really kind of wild, and you don't have to open up the closet door and pull out all this equipment and like light incense and
Right.
sit Jack cross-legged and close your eyes and look weird. It's like
Yeah.
you're breathing, right? You have this resource to ground yourself, to come back to the moment, to come back to yourself. And when you come back to yourself in that way, you come back to your priorities, your values, what you
Yes.
really want to see happen. So it's just like that break in the momentum that we need, and the breath is a great, great vehicle for that.
You know what, again, I've been trying to be more mindful, not every moment, and I haven't been successful even when I do try to do it every moment, but even when I'm working out, which, yoga is a workout, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I try doing it when I'm running or when I'm doing a spinning class or when I'm lifting weights, to be breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out. And I think those things are, super helpful so that you can, the breath, so you could actually just be, you and I talking, we're being
Mm-hmm.
mindful, despite all these messages flashing in front of us. And we're still connected. Do you know what I mean? We're still connected even though we have those kind of things going on. Okay, so next question has to do with when you found employees that were creating these mindfulness practices at work, what were they doing and how did they introduce this? Because most companies, unless you actually provide proof that it's profitable or that it increases productivity, people are not, companies aren't willing to adopt those kind of programs or invest any monies in them. What are you finding is happening?
Well, I don't know how it began, but, I keep hearing from, what's the position called now? The head of human capital,
I love it.
Is that right? I think that's what it's called.
Or HR, like they call them different things, human relations.
That more and more companies are bringing this in, and it's experimental, so they must have some basis. I mean, I tend to work a lot in the nonprofit world, where the issue is resilience and burnout.
Yes.
And there too, it's an experiment, but there's a pretty good sense that this would be like, it's like a resilience skill.
Yeah.
It's giving people, kind of an ability to renew, to be more present, to not try to control what can't be controlled, to have better boundaries, to be more aware of a lot of things. And so it's a tremendous thing for people who are working kind of directly confronting suffering in a very big way.
So really, if you're talking to someone in human relations or whatever it's called in an organization, it's really about approaching it from a retention angle, that people are burning out, and if actually they don't have some type of practice like this, they're going to burn out, and this is a way to actually keep people, which maps to productivity, right? If you're burnt out, you're not going to be as efficient or productive as you can be. So that's what I'm hearing is retention. Are there any stats or anything or reports that you can point people to if they want to provide evidence that this is true?
I would go, there's a wonderful organization called the Garrison Institute, which has a website, and they have just posted a white paper on their website about contemplative practices and resilience.
Oh, cool.
So somebody did a really kind of a survey of the field.
Yeah.
And it was through the Garrison Institute that I did the program that I wrote a lot about in the book with domestic violence shelter workers, first frontline workers and then supervisors. And it was through the Garrison Institute that I was just in Ireland.
Yes.
Being with international humanitarian aid groups.
All right, I've been told to lead to a break, so we actually have Sharon Salzberg, who is here talking about her book, Real Happiness at Work. Thank you so much for sharing this book with us. It's a great resource, and one of my favorite things in this book are the exercises. So each book talks about a big concept, like we talked about concentration, compassion, And there are a whole bunch of other topics like that in the book. And then it could provide some work scenarios and then some meditations, which are just beautiful and lovely. So thank you. We're going to be coming right back, talking about some other questions about spirituality and traveling the path. We'll be right back.